and welcome back to my channel. I know you see the fit. I know you see the fit. This thing is a dress on me. This is verbal clarification that this is not a tutorial like my knit or crochet videos are, but more of a process video to show you what I did, how many mistakes I made, and what worked for me. Though this doesn't include accurate measurements, if you're looking for guidance on a certain piece, or if you wanted to try making this cosplay yourself, I do hope this video doesn't just give you inspiration, but also gives you the courage to experiment, because this cosplay was a huge experiment in trusting the process. And on that note, I did not edit this video in the order that I worked on each piece of her cosplay so that it'd be easier for you to skip to the parts of the video you want to watch. But dates have been included. I typically post all my process videos in the month before a con or an event, but I typically start working on projects 4 months to a year in advance, and I disappear for a few months to work and edit before posting the process and the results because I know people don't like to wait. So anyways, I'm hoping these dates set some sort of realistic expectations. Before we get started, let's talk about Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint follows Kim Dokja as his favorite novel comes to an end, and so does the world, kickstarting the events in the novel he had just completed. In order to survive and reach his ending, he must use the knowledge he had acquired in the novel. When you first start reading Orv, you'll see a lot of people comparing it to Solo Leveling. However, this story is not the power scaling fantasy that you think it is. When you get to a certain chapter, you realize that it's a completely different universe, and the story is meant for a completely different audience. Orv is written for readers, writers, people who enjoy consuming entertainment, and those who, at pivotal parts in their life, might have felt closer and had more meaningful relationships with the characters in their favorite stories than they have to the people around them. This story, it has it all. It changed the way I consume entertainment media, and it changed how I view the things that I create. It's crazy. Like, you just have to read it yourself. Like, I could say all these great things about it, but you just have to experience how great it is for yourself. I'm cosplaying Archangel Uriel? Uriel. But I'll talk more about her later. The version of her that I'm referencing is the Taiwanese novel cover, and this is the only interpretation of her I've seen with this art style. I also took some inspiration from some of these photos from these artists. I said in my shorter videos, but this is an artistic interpretation, as all my cosplays are, and I do take a lot of creative liberties. I sketched out my dress and my wing drafts before getting to work, adding as many of my own relevant body measurements as well as garment and accessory measurements as I could. I worked on multiple parts of this cosplay at the same time, but I started with the wings because this version was completely different from my past attempts. I ended up making a separate video on this because lots of people had questions for how I executed this, and I wanted to make sure I gave as much details about my process as I could. So if you're seeing this after both videos have been published and you want something a little more tutorial oriented, that should be right here. In the meantime, let's jump into the dress process. Now I'm going to get working on her corset as part of her dress. Now the reason why I'm working on the top and the bottom half separately is because the references that I'm using, I haven't decided, but I think I do want a little more structure for the top, and I'm not sure if I want the corset as a separate piece. Part of the reason why I'm not just dyeing this corset is because I really like this corset. I actually got it from my college theater department's costume sale. So basically what we're going to do is trace the top and the bottom and then like put pins along the seam lines. I know there's like 2 seam lines here, but one of them is just to seal in the bones. But yeah, we're gonna trace the top, mark the seam lines, and then pin along the seam, and then remove the corset, connect the dots, and then repeat that for all 6 panels. And then we're gonna cut out a total of 13 panels, depending on the lacing. Again, this isn't really a tutorial, and this is my first time trying this, so we'll see what happens. So basically I traced the top right here and I marked where the seam lines are on both ends. I actually want to change this hemline a little bit and bring it down just because I don't really like the way it looks. And then I pinned along the seam so I could trace that, and then I also traced the bottom hemline and hello, focus, and marked where the seam lines were as well. And you're going to do that for every single panel. Okay, so I have panel pieces number 2 and number 3 here, and I want to bring this edge of both panel pieces down. So what I'm going to do is measure how much I want to bring down, mark that on both panel pieces, and then change my seam line accordingly and add seam allowance. And then what I'm going to do after is, I really should have done this before, but I'm going to mark notches around the waist area on all the 6-7 panels as a guideline for where I'm going to sew. I'm not really sure how to do that now that I've traced all the pieces already, but I think what I'm going to do is just lay the pattern pieces back on top of the corset and figure it out from there. Alright, so I finished making a pattern off of my original corset as well as sewing my mock-up. I don't know why I thought I could do without laces, but that is not possible. This back will be lace up. I'm not sure if I want to do like corset loops along the side or if I want to do grommets, because I don't know, my grommets are yeah. Fortunately, I did end up making this this mock-up so I could figure out exactly what I wanted to do and I could save a little bit of my satin. And speaking of a little bit of satin, I also draped my skirt. Now, this is almost, I don't know, this is almost an exact, so sorry, my room is so messy. This is almost an exact replica, I guess, of what the skirt looks like in my reference photo. But I'm not sure if I like how much leg this covers. What I'm gonna do is sew my corset in my final satin, and then try out and see different ways of draping on my own body before transferring it back to the mannequin to make some final adjustments. Here's a little bit more close up. Peep the wig. Filming this on my phone, propped up against my sewing machine right now because it is already 10 p.m. and I still have things to do. But I don't know. I like held the corset up to myself and I'm not feeling good about it. And I briefly had a bout of like, oh my gosh, what if I just dyed my reference corset black? But that would involve me spending money on dye. And then I was wondering what was wrong with this one and why it was too small, and I realized that these 2 panels at the sides are stretchy. I was like, oh my god. This is not stretch satin. So what I can either do, what I can do instead is just add extra fabric here, except I don't even know how much I technically need. But then I don't have enough boning. That's my issue there. I could dye this black, but then that means I need to buy more dye because the dye I have is only for cotton, but then that would involve me buying dye. And then I don't even know if the extra fabric is actually going to work. This satin is very thin, which I expected this because I wanted, even though I do want this to last a while, I like do not have the funds for expensive satin right now, but I don't want to give up on this just yet because I really think this is another trust the process moment, which I've been having a lot of those in the past 8 months and I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, let's get to cutting some fabric. It's fine, I can fix it. It's fine, everything will be fine. I can do this. I still have time ish. I'm gonna give it till the end of this week, and if not, I realized I never filmed my follow-up video. I ended up buying a corset because I realized that I don't have the right fabric, I don't have the right kind of boning, I don't have the right kind of cotton, and the corset is just going to fall apart over time. I'm probably not even going to be able to wear it once before it starts falling apart because that fabric, the satin fabric, is so thin. I made sure this time to do a little more research, and I found out that yes, corsets are priced the way they are because they're meant to last and they're meant to shape your body in a certain way. I looked at some secondhand ones. None of them were quite my size. I'm not tight lacing, and nor do I ever intend to. So I decided not to go for that kind of corset, and I heard someone say on a Reddit forum that some costume shops are good for finding sturdy corsets. So I was like, okay, let me look into that. So I found a costume shop that had closed down maybe like 1 to 2 years ago, and they were selling their like leftover stock online, and I was like, ooh, it has the size that I want. I got it. You'll see what it looks like, but you guys, it is perfect. It's actually for someone with a longer bust, but that's fine by me because I need the skirt to drape down a little bit past my waist, so perfect for me. I have a shorter torso, so it all works out. In the meantime, I am starting my skirt. I bought a lot of black satin, and basically instead of cutting a pattern, I'm going to try draping on my mannequin and seeing if it works. Well, sorry, no, that's wrong. I already tried draping on my mannequin and I just did my first try on. The way I draped it, man, they really need to stop making mannequins like super skinny and super snatched, because like I tried draping it and it's a little bit too tight for my liking, so I'm going to add a bit more ease, and here is my draping process. You're gonna need, hang on, satin, a lot of it. I bought several yards too many, but that's okay. I am planning to use black satin a lot for future projects. The satin I got is a little on the thinner side, so that's why I can't make the corset. But yeah, so as you can see here, I just used a As you can see here, I just used a clip to hold it in place, and I folded it the way you would fold a piece of fabric, the way you would fold fabric to make like a cowl dress. This is how you get that draping effect. So I am keeping this end, this corner in, and just sticking it on the mannequin. And as you can see here, instead of sewing a basting stitch, I pinned all my pleats in place. Can you even see that? But I'm going to be taking this all out and starting over again because I did not add enough ease to this triangle over here. Even though it looks like it's falling off the mannequin, it's a little tight on me. What I do is just keep taking it off the mannequin and trying it on myself. At that point I should really just get a mannequin, but it's what it is. Ta-da! She does not have a name. I should name her though. What should I name her? Suggestions in the comments, please. So right now she is at my height, but I want to make her a little taller because I'm going to be wearing heels in this cosplay. So I'm gonna add about 3 inches. It's like 3 inches. Oh my god. Oh, well, there goes my marker. better. This is much better. I like how there is an angle going down. But the thing is, in my reference photo, it looks like all of the fabric is just like tucked in. I think what I'm gonna do is just cut off a lot of this excess. Cut this off like at an angle to the selvage edge, so then more of my legs are exposed, so I may be less likely to trip. The corset I have right now is too short, but I like whatever's going on here. The draping, I like cut away everything from the bottom here. That'll leave me with this, and you can see my knee, and I think that's what I'm going for. That way you can see the body jewelry a little better. But yeah, let's get to sewing this. This is really just tucked in. I think I'm just gonna fold it where it is right here and then sew 3 closures, and then I'm going to figure out what the bottom hem on the floor is gonna look like. I tried on my heels with this, and fortunately I didn't cut away too much. I drew 2 lines from where I wanted to trim the train and from where I wanted to cut this hem for the slit. So what I'm going to do is put it back on the mannequin and cut it there, and then try it on myself again and see if I could cut some more. I do want there to be a bit of a train, but not too much, because I'm not trying to get stepped on, because I know people don't usually see people who are my height. But yeah, so far I'm feeling pretty confident now. So I've done my basting stitch at the side here. I tucked away the raw edges to get a better idea of what it might look like. And now I'm going to figure out how much of a train I'd want. I know it'll look better once it's on my body, but it just... trust the process, right? Trust the process. So I also marked on my corset in Sharpie, which I probably shouldn't do. I marked a snap right here, and as well as a snap on the side of the fabric here, as well as, where is it? Over here, where I'm going to, right here and here, where I'm going to attach a snap. Yeah, and let's sew this down. Okay, I know this is kind of cheating, but what I'm gonna do is sew a ladder stitch along each of the pleats to just hold it in place. Like, I know it technically won't, and it's technically cheating, but I really want it to stay in this position. So yeah, we're gonna give that a try. Hopefully it works, because if it doesn't, that means I would have wasted so much thread. But hi, this is Editing Sky. I literally left a note for myself to not forget to record this part, and I still forgot. Just like how I forgot that interfacing exists. This very kind commenter suggested I try fusible interfacing to help the pleats hold their shape, and it would help the fabric move better and prevent a lot of the tension you see in my current pleats. I ended up not fixing it before the con, but before the next time I wear this, I'm going to start from scratch with the skirt. It should be easy now that I can use the existing skirt as my template. The applique deserved its own segment separate from the rest of the accessories because, God, it took forever and I couldn't find any tutorials for how to alter a beaded applique. So I taught myself. Welcome to the tutorial that I needed, and I hope this helps you if you attempt something similar. I found a store sort of nearby me that opened up recently, and it's basically like a place for like retail overstock that's sold at like seriously discounted prices, and the price goes down every day after they stock on Thursdays, I think. Starting at $10 on Friday down to $1 on Thursday. And you guys, I found the most gorgeous applique I've ever laid my eyes on. I didn't really want to pay $5 on Sunday, so I was like, okay, if this is going to be mine, I'm going to come back on Wednesday, and if it's there for $1, I'm buying it. It was there. Now I think I'm getting a little further from my reference photo of Uriel, but I'm thinking if I like dye the mesh black, it could give the illusion that it's sewn on directly. I was planning on doing something like this anyways, but oh my god. Wow, what a steal. The issue though, besides the mesh, is the busk. I'm thinking of like removing this as well as this and cutting it. Oh, my bad. And cutting it down the middle, making sure that the embroidery stays intact. I don't know how I'm gonna do that or if I'm actually going to go through with this, but if I do, it'll be my first large-scale bust applique. I'll probably ask some friends and also leave it up to an Instagram poll to see what people think. I cut around the parts where the applique was connected, then undid some of the beading from the parts I wasn't using to leave a tail long enough for me to tie off. I fray checked and glued parts down that were more prone to unraveling. I went a little overboard on this, but hey, better safe than sorry, right? Then I used an iron without steam to set the Sharpie, pressing it beneath a thin layer of cotton so it wouldn't melt or come away on the iron. Then I pinned the newly altered applique in place and sewed it on with a whip stitch and a running stitch. Hello. Okay, so we're getting to that point in my process where I just simply cannot pick up the camera because I feel like I'm so close and I just want to focus on it and I don't want to film. But here's where I am now. I finished all of the body chains, and I wanted to save one side of the applique for filming, but that didn't happen because I got so locked in that I did both sides except for the bottom, and of course the bottom's going to be the hardest part. So what I did was that I had the corset with the dress fully closed and pinned the whole thing and made sure that it was laying flat and there were no wrinkles on either the corset or the applique. After that, I used a mixture of a running stitch and a back stitch to sew the edges down, and then I was having a hard time like sewing the parts that went over the bust, so I had to open the corset. Luckily it mostly stayed in place since I put some pins at the top over here. I left this part unsewn because I'm going to do what I did with the middle and the bottom. I'm gonna cut this part off and use these for other parts of the dress. Yeah, I have 4 needles in work right now. It's going pretty well though. After I take the applique off, I'm going to look for where the boning channels are and reinforce the applique by sewing a running stitch over those as well. I was able to ask a couple of my friends' grandparents who are more knowledgeable than me in this department, one of which actually used to work in the garment industry in New York City before industrialization. Really interesting, right? It's a small world. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to sewing, and I'm probably gonna take this off camera, and hopefully I get to the sleeves today. So I'm also sewing down the applique along the corset channels, so it has reinforcement on the interior of the cosplay and not just the exterior. And now for the accessories. I painted the bust to match the corset. I sewed on lobster clasps and jump rings to drape a pearl necklace around the front of my body. To attach the chains so then they're dangling from the corset, I'm going to sew on a very skinny ribbon in multiple places to the inside of the corset so then they can be removable. Uriel wears body jewelry on her legs for this cover, but I wanted to try a different style, so along with draping some necklaces from the corset, I'm also painting flower beads and making my own flower chains. I also crocheted these wing hair clips from last year for a fairy picnic, and I never ended up wearing them, and now I felt like adding them. I would like to do a tiara for Uriel someday, but these also fit pretty well for the overall image, so why not? I also thrifted this heart pin, which, spoiler alert, looks a little bit like the love meter that Uriel gifted Huan. And then I sewed on a couple more pearls to the corset. I feel like I'm going to take out some of the invisible stitching here because you can see the tension, but that's not what I'm here to show you. I'm here to show you the body chains. I like how they turned out. I'm not sure if I think they look cheap yet, but maybe it's just that I haven't seen this on my body. Maybe I should add a little more shine to these, but yeah. For the sleeves, I cut a rectangle and then ruched the fabric at the wrists by sewing an elastic along the shorter end for the sleeve cuffs. I'm using the flash because I've closed all the windows in my house because it is too hot right now. What I've done is I'm using some tulle as some extra support for the necklace, and I've whip stitched the two appliques together. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I've also pinned both appliques in place, and then I'm going to cut away the excess, except for this part, which is just extra reinforcement for where I'm going to sew the sleeves. Yeah, so as you can see, I whip stitched very small, and then I'm going to fray check this to secure it in place. That way it stays. I don't love how it sort of covers my arm, but actually it might give the illusion of an actual sleeve, so I can't complain too much, you know? Then I added some pearls to the neckline to bring it all together. To make the ankle cuffs, I cut a strip of fabric a little bit longer than the circumference of my ankle, and another one twice that length. So I put the longer strip through my sewing machine with the highest tension and the longest stitch length. It made this ruffle effect, and then I put my sewing machine back to its regular settings, sewed it onto the shorter piece, and then added some hook and eye closures to make sure that it would stay around my ankles. This is a human hair wig that I got on clearance at my local beauty supply. I still have mixed feelings about how it looks on me, actually. I thinned the bangs out a lot because they were very thick and tried my best to blend them into the sides. I curled it like I would my regular hair, hairsprayed each curl, and clipped it while it was cooling. Then I gently combed each curl out. Later on, I added tiny braids and pinned them in place with a black bow. And now we're finally at costest day! Or week. This took a long time to costest. I actually did not try on the wings with the dress beforehand, and fortunately it worked, but next time I probably wouldn't take that risk. Okay, I'm currently costesting Uriel. This is what it looks like without the sleeves. Oh my god, you can like see my entire room. That's awkward. I did not fully lace up the back, and I put a pin in the lining, or like the part of the fabric that folds inward. I actually kind of like it. So I'm also gonna put the sleeves and the wig on and see how that looks. But so far, I'm liking it. I'm excited. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, so I'm costesting right now. I do not think I'm gonna be able... Oh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to wear the big wings, because there's so much going on around my neck and my head that I'm just... It's my first wear, and I'm afraid of overdoing it, especially since it's summer and it's hot. I tried on the wig. I finally cut off the elastic on the inside that was squeezing my head. Oh my goodness. And actually, now that it's curled, like, it looks more like Uriel. Why did I say her name like that? I don't actually know if I'm gonna go too crazy on my eyebrows. And I redid the bangs, but I forgot that I had hairsprayed them already, so like it got all crunchy, but I don't know if it looks natural. I think it's fine. The sleeves, great. I found a way to wear them by like tucking them into the corset and like by slipping my arm out of them and then tucking them into the corset, so then I could like move around in them and like have some airflow, because I'm wearing skin tight black fabric, which is probably a terrible idea. Which is also why like I don't think I'm gonna go for the big wings. Like, I'll do them for the reveal, but like for Otakon itself, I'm bringing smaller wings. That said, I do love the way the hair clips turned out. They're so pretty. Still feel a little weird about the shaping of like the way the wig frames my face, but not sure if I still want to cut these with layers. I do have to I do still have to redo this curl because it's like, it's weird. But I love how it looks with this. I'm not taking this off. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So I am finishing the last bits of Uriel's wig. I decided to redo those two locks in the front. I left this wig out for like 3 months, so then the fragrance would like, at least most of it would be aired out of the wig. I am allergic to fragrance, by the way. I think it's okay. Like, I can put up with it. Like, I do still smell it, unfortunately, which is strange, but it's fine. I also like did fringes in the front. However, that said, there's like this one straight strand that's bothering me, so I'm gonna fix this right now. Also, my Otakon badge came today, and I'm very excited. I really don't like, I mean, I don't mind, of course, but like, I don't love how it just outs where I'm going. But cute packaging. I'm so excited. Like, now that I got the badge and my friends were talking about it last week, and why'd I say it like that? It's feeling real now, and I feel like I'm coming back to life. I'm so excited. Sorry, I had to turn the camera back on again because they gave us a little map and they gave us a sticker as well as the badge. And the badge, guys, wow. That's really cool. I like that. I really like that. That's very pretty. It's got the times and everything on the background. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Wow. Oh my gosh, look. I can't remember what these are called, but like, I'm obsessed with them. Oh wait, he's not. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Love this. Love this. Okay, so I'm cost testing my makeup. I think I did okay. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this for Uriel. I do like how it turned up, even though like until the very last minute I was like, is it really gonna be okay? But it was. For this cut crease right here, I'd bring it a little higher. Yeah, here it is in artificial lighting, and then here it is in, ooh, oh my god, ignore my room, in natural lighting. Yeah, this is my introduction to doing makeup. Crazy. Shout out Xiaohongshu for these makeup tutorials. This video is getting kind of long, and to reiterate, I'm making the wings portion of her cosplay in a separate video because that process is way more detailed. So much of my art and the things I make, crochet, cosplay, or otherwise, is inspired by my love for my favorite stories. So Uriel resonated with me immediately when she was introduced in Orv. In addition to being a lovely and fiercely protective supporter, she shows her support for Kim Dokja and Kim Kam with all of her heart, expecting nothing in return except for the opportunity to watch their story. This story in general changed my life, and I have met some of the most lovely people and the most lovely cosplayers in this community, and I can't wait to meet more at future cons or future Orv events that I'm going to. Kim Dokja's birthday in New York City, anybody? I'm going. Are you going? I said this in my Yona video, I'll say it again. Please watch our con vlog. You'll see a lot more of our shenanigans than what I show here. Despite everything that happened that went so wrong in ways that we couldn't predict, we had a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I got to see my friends. We're getting married! Yay!
Wait, that's so funny.
Hey.
Ladies, I'm trying to do my work today. Leave me alone type shit. Ladies! Let's meet them! Woo! Let's meet them!
This is not the end of my Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint cosplays, by the way. I might be planning something for Halloween, but we'll see if it pans out. I'm literally looking at it right now. I've also seen cosplayers on Xiaohongshu interpret Uriel 999 as a being that wears an all-white version of her outfit, so I'd be down to attempt that as well. I may or may not be costesting somebody, and this is not a cosplay in the near future, but if you know, you know. I can't wait to get working on this one. Maybe in like 2 years. I don't know. I have to get through my Love and Deep Space cosplays first, but someday I'll get to this cosplay and I'm so excited. Also, I wanted to shout out Hani for getting me into Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Please finish the novel so I can have someone to talk to about this. I also wanted to shout out Kaya, Kaya's grandma, Morgan, my dad, and anyone else who encouraged me and everyone else who I met through making this cosplay. Part 2 should be uploaded soon. I will see you there. If you enjoyed this video, kindly hit the like and subscribe button to join the stitches in our seams, and I will be seeing you next time. Bye!